Welcome to 6G Agenda. I'm your host, Andrew, here again with my man Justin Ward in the chords,
Yo,
and we talk about what they want.
that is what
Welcome
we do.
back. Yeah, that's what we do. Welcome back for all of our listeners and anybody new that's coming over from Tinfoil Hat. Welcome. Thanks for the love. We got lots of love from them. Lots of people liked it seems, so that's cool. Anybody that listens to our show that didn't know, definitely go check that one out. It was a banger. 2 hours. Had a good time.
Yeah, Drew did his thing on there.
Yeah. Shout out Tinfoil. That was great. I also went on Ben's End of the World News on Friday, so that should be coming out this week. We did 2 hours as well. We had a great time, so definitely go give him some love. Check that out too. That'll be out here this week as well. So got lots of little collabs coming. I got, Outside Minds coming up too. Next week we're gonna do something on, if you're into rap or hip hop and you're a fan of this show, you'll enjoy that. So definitely check it out. I probably won't swap it and put it on our archive, but it'll be good. It'll be a good time. And definitely check out that live this Friday. William Ramsey, he's going to be coming on. We'll be going on YouTube, 5 Central, and we'll be on X. So we'll be talking about mostly Fort Bragg. He's got some stuff to bring to the table. We're going to be getting deep on the Fort Bragg stuff. So yeah, lots of fun things in the works right now. It's a good time. Speaking of that, maybe should we show them now? We're going to show you now. We got something that we want to show you. We got our website here. Is it showing it? And yeah, so we got this little thing going, little website, 6gagenda.com. That's all you got to do. Pull up there. We got everything. Little tab on the side. You go check out our podcast. We got the archive. We will have merch coming up soon. Probably some t-shirts, coffee mugs, the whole deal, with some cover art from our episodes. I think that'll be a good time. So yeah, good stuff coming up.
Hell yeah. Sorry, I was echoing when you were sharing.
Oh, you're just fine. My bad about that. Go give us some love down in the description. We got all of our links. If you don't go to our website, we got our links down there for any donations, or if you want to join our premium, it's all down there. So yeah, if you enjoy the shows, definitely that's how you can support it. All right, without further ado, we're gonna get into Silent Weapon 7. That's gonna be the 7th and the last one. It's gonna be pretty much what kicked it all off. A lot of it was about ufology being MK Ultra kind of born, as well as autism, telepathy tapes. That's something we hinted at the whole time. So we're finally gonna get to that.
The TISM tapes.
The TISM tapes, dude. Pretty crazy, dude. Lots of TISM out there. And is it on purpose? That's the question. So I posed that question in our series in the very beginning. And that was kind of one of the topics that we're going to get to. And I've been doing studies. And I think that we got down to the bottom of it, dude. And without confirmation bias, 100%.
Okay.
Like, I mean, you'll see what I'm talking about at the end. So here's what we're going to do. We'll run through the theories of it, kind of what it is, why would they do it? What's the possibility of doing it? And then at the end, we'll kind of give some solid proof to, like, is this happening along the way as well? Actually, we will. But yeah, man, I don't know. Aldous Huxley might be the key to the answer to this one. If you're familiar with him, then you may already know the answer to this question. So yeah, without further ado, we'll get into the telepathy tapes. Now, what started this off for me was I kind of, I saw the telepathy tape lady go on to Joe Rogan, and she talked about kids with autism that were able to speak non-verbally with their parents, communicate non-verbally, and like verifiably, right? Quote unquote. Well, this lady's kind of, whatever. I dug into her a while ago, so I don't remember the exact details, but she was kind of like, she sounds like MK Ultra doctor. Let's just put it that way. And so, psychologist, whatever, I don't, whatever. But what intrigued me about it was that they were trying to almost act like autistic spectrum disorder would be kind of a good thing, like a good evolution in our human race.
Yeah,
And
I kind of
yeah.
remember her describing it. She was talking about it almost like a superpower.
Yes, exactly. And so then that got me thinking, like Elon Musk, right?
Mm,
Where he's like, I'm autistic,
yeah.
right? Whenever he's on SNL. So I do think that there's something there, right? So that's what kicked off this kind of thinking in my head where I'm like, what's going on, dude? Are they purposely creating people that are autistic? Are they trying to act like this is the new? I think it's really to make you more suggestible or docile, um, unempathetic,
Mm,
right? Things like that.
yeah.
And as we get into it, I think we're going to answer our question here. But so that's kind of the initial hypothesis to kick this off. And it's pretty crazy if uh if that's the case. So what do we got here? Telepathy tapes, autism, mind control theories, and the new age technocrat credit kind of overlap is what we're covering. So telepathy tapes and programming. There's a lot of credible evidence that the CIA, the Department of Defense, did experiment in the 20th century, testing subliminal audio visual programs, and they called them telepathy tapes and underground accounts. Now, these weren't true like mind reading devices, but recording with layered frequency, hypnotic induction, and suggested aimed at bypassing conscious resistance.
Mm,
So, pretty much getting somebody to kind of split their mind,
yeah.
subconscious with their conscience. The idea here is uh, weakening the boundary between a conscious and subconscious mind. And then that's kind of the idea of the veil that occultists talk about, right? And so this is where I've always said that it comes back from the occult mystery Babylon shit where they do this,
Yeah.
the Jungian shadow self where you kind of pierce through the veil and whatever. But
Sure.
I think they're weaponizing it, and autism could be easier way to mess with it, and that's the concept here. It's crazy. So, including myself, there are some conspiracy researchers that argue that the explosion of autism diagnoses isn't random, and that one angle is that neurodivergence can be engineered through vaccines, environmental toxins, or even deliberate programs. And not because elites are care about autism per se, but because there's hyper focus on pattern recognition and sensory sensitivity.
Mm,
And the reason why this could be good is they can make people more attuned to frequencies like subliminal messages,
yeah.
um, obviously things like that. And then the social detachment aspect of it is very important because it makes them less influence and care about like their family member, even if they get carried off because they got the wrong concept of they mouth off or they don't like a police state or
Right.
whatever, right? They're against authoritarianism. And so this is kind of what worries me, you know what I mean? Because, when you have a new race of kids that say 80% of them are autistic, then they're gonna be adults, and then that's gonna so that does worry me a little bit. Not to say like, "Oh," but it's something to think about.
Yeah, because a lot of kids nowadays are getting diagnosed super young.
Exactly. And also, they say it's 1 in 35. It used to be 1 in, like, 6,000 or something, like 8,000.
Yeah.
It's 30, 40 years ago. And so it's a very quick rise, and I think that it's not by accident. And of course, the empathy circuits, like I mentioned earlier, makes them more programmable. And yeah, that's kind of another aspect of that too.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. That kind of serves as a bridge between like the natural mind and machine driven interaction where they can kind of eventually get these people plugged in, as we always talk about here.
Mm-hmm.
So the new age cover up of this is this whole idea of like it's a superpower, right? The higher consciousness aspect of it. You have a lot of people like who's that guy? He's the big UFO guy, Jacques Vallée. He's big on this idea of UFOs are a conscious stream, right? Most of this stuff is more in your consciousness, and
Mm-hmm.
he talks about how he believes, like, because he's so intelligent, essentially, that's why he's able to access that stuff, which is kind of crazy. You know what I mean? Like, in different terms, he kind of said that, and I was like, huh,
He got the
I see what you
keys.
guys are doing. Yeah, he's got the superpower. Yeah, that's crazy, bro. And there's been like movies about that kind of shit too,
Yeah.
where it's like the autistic type kid seems to have superpower, like super smart, super like whatever. It's even kind of a stigma in our everyday life now.
Yeah, it is. We do say like autistic superpowers and shit.
Yeah,
Like,
like
look at
people
Yuri
that
Prohaska.
yeah, they're
He's
like,
a
dude, oh,
fucking
it's okay
dog.
if they're autistic, they're probably gonna be really good artists or they're gonna be really good at something, like the best at it. That's how we look at that shit.
Yeah, exactly.
They're gonna find something and be the best at it. And that's
Cause
such a crazy thing. dude, how
Exactly what we say about Yuri, dude. Because we look at him in
yeah.
the octagon, and we're like, "There's no fucking way he's not autistic."
Right, right, right,
But
right,
he's
right.
a dog. Like,
Yeah, dude. Here's some hey, for those who don't know, we're talking UFC. If you don't like UFC, then I don't blame you. But hey, it's one of the only ones that I still watch. Only things I still
the
watch,
UFC's
hands
the
down.
shit.
Mhm. Over the weekend, that was terrible, dude.
Yeah.
Double eye poke, knuckle deep, ended it 5 minutes in, somebody's head rolled in Abu Dhabi over the weekend because they didn't get to see the last fight, more than 1 minute of the last fight. They're like,
Yeah.
"Listen, I'm chopping somebody's head off tonight because of
Someone
that."
got pissed off.
Mhm.
The fights leading up to it were great,
Yeah. I
but
mean, yeah,
yeah.
definitely. The co-main was amazing. But anyways,
Anyway.
yeah, if people believe that they're evolving into a new species or activating DNA, they'll willingly accept that might actually be a neurological rewiring or a technocratic or kind of integration, right? Because they'll be thinking that they're entering this ascension, right? You hear that a lot in New Age circles as well. We're heading into the next level of ascension in consciousness and shit.
Mm.
So this just the genetic and psychological manipulation that comes with all this that we know about uh kind of leads me to think that. So are they changing the psyche to mesh with technology? Let's look at the evidence. There's genetic editing and epigenetic changes via environment, food, vaccines, and nanotechnology. And this can all rewire neurons for different plasticity, which can make us more we talk about cybernetics on the show a lot. Those that are new to the show, we have two styles to the format. So we do chillcast where we kind of hang out, talk about whatever, a few different things, and we give those different numbers than the actual show, which is not that it's a different show, but where we deep dive each episode. This is one of those where we're deep diving Silent Weapon 7. But just so you know, that's kind of the format we do. Um, and yeah, so I just thought about the fact that we didn't lay out the format in the beginning, so I was like, "Oh, I should lay that out because it may be confusing with the numbers. Oh, they only had 20 episodes, but then they have another 20 on this one? Well, yeah, we do it kinda different, but this one is a deep dive, just so you know. So there's a digital entrainment, like screens, EMF exposure, social media conditioning as well, which shifts brainwave pattern and attention cycles. And that's kind of what we see all the time with people that seem like they have like a goldfish like attention span. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's very hard to have conversations about deep stuff like this. Like, for instance, I just said that we have two different kinds of shows. One of them is like a chill cast for people that are just trying to hear hang out.
Mm.
And the other one's for people that are more like me, where they're like, I want to hear somebody go deep into something and blow my mind by the end of it because of like how much it connects to, right?
Right.
And so that's kind of what we try to bring to the show. But there's a lot of people that like just kind of a surface, play around session, go into some funny shit, whatever.
Kind of a
And that's
lax
our
vibe,
showcast.
but yeah.
Yeah. And the reason why I have two different kinds is because I understand that there's people's minds that like the attention span is just not there. And that's not their fault. It's because of the social media conditioning and the shifting in brainwave patterns and attention cycles that we just spoke about. So yeah, there's a psychological manipulation as well that kind of goes with that. And this collective consciousness idea where, in the you see it with the military now with the hive mind helmets that we talked about where they could see everything at once and all the
Yeah.
different, military guys. That's that collective consciousness. Now they're showing you that it's possible for that to be real there. Now that's this idea of like as above, so below. So it must be real and, like in the spiritual world as well, right? We
Yeah.
must all be a part of a collective, one unified consciousness. And that's what they're trying to get us to believe in. That's the new philosophy, the basis of it. That's Luciferian philosophy. That's the type of shit I lay out all the time. And, yeah, it's definitely something to watch for because that's whenever the individual doesn't matter, so therefore your freedom doesn't matter anymore, and that's why it's bad. So it's not about freedom, it's about more compliant, machine-compatible humans. And so let's get into the veil narrative. If they convince people that the breaking down of psychic boundaries is cosmic ascension, like I said, then they can normalize collective telepathic mesh, which really is surveillance integrated technology. And then the dissolution of religious individuality into a Luciferian light body philosophy, which is what I just explained. It's this idea of one unified consciousness, a kind of hive mind. And then the acceptance of direct brain computer interface would be the final step after you kind of accept what I just explained, all the philosophies with that.
Yeah.
Dude, that's like I'm telling you, that is the game plan that I see in front of us today is exactly that. It's, you know, kinda get rid of the religions, get people to believe in that, then you can get them to accept this idea of, like, a brain computer interface, and yeah, that's how it goes. What you got? Let's pull it up.
Pull it up. Anduril's Eagle Eye puts mission command and AI directly into the warfighter's helmet. Thought you might find this one cool.
So if you didn't hear in our other episode, guys, this is one of the, this is the company. Anduril is the weapon systems company, and they just made these helmets that have a heads-up display, which essentially you can see everything. It's called the Eagle Eye because, I mean, if you got a drone up in the sky and it sees inside of a building, all the guys outside the building see in there now.
I just thought it said something kind of interesting right here. It kind of ties into what you were saying about kind of a hive mind or a web.
Oh, yeah.
It Anduril's vision of turning every warrior into a connected node on the battlefield.
Yeah, exactly, dude. That they want us all to be nodes everywhere,
Mm-hmm.
and they're obviously showing that it works in military, and once they prove that, dude, they it's gonna work in for everybody, right?
Yeah.
And we're gonna make our whole world work like that. I'm not super excited for that, that's for sure.
Yeah. Thought that was interesting. Thought you might find it cool.
It's crazy. It's insane. What looks like spiritual evolution could be pre-programmed cognitive engineering is what we're getting at. The thin veiling might not be mystical, but instead, I think it's a deliberate dismantling of the natural barriers in the psyche that protect our individuality. Most importantly, our memory. We're going to get to that later whenever we get to see these are all the theories of like how it could be. But I have some writings from some people who actually studied all this and have the receipts, and we're gonna come with that in a minute. I'm just
Alright.
laying out the vision of kind of what I see in my head, the concept, and then we're gonna get to the details. Because I feel like if you get to the details first and don't lay out the concept first, it gets a little messy. But like you know, now we got a good concept of like what are they doing, how are they doing it, and why would they do it, right?
Yeah.
So we'll get to that other shit in a minute. But so what I kind of, also thought about is like, the idea of like hormone blockers and chemical kind of mental, messing with the mind.
Yeah.
And we went into that a little bit in our other ones, like the Manchurian Candidate episode. But it's worth going over again. Hormones aren't just physical, they do regulate the mood, memory, consolidation, and the identity stability of a person. And so blockers like sex hormones radically alter brain chemistry. Long-term use often leads to disassociation, emotional blunting, and malleable sense of self. Doesn't that sound a lot like an autistic kind of person,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
That's kind of why I'm getting back into it because I'm like, it's worth it. So, from a controls perspective, the more a person's core identity is destabilized, the easier it is to assert suggestions, scripts, or new narratives into their mind. And in trauma based mind control literature, disassociation is the golden key into one's consciousness. It fragments the psyche and allows alters to be programmed. And then hormonal manipulation might be a pharmacological shortcut to a similar state in the mind. And that's why, I don't know,
Yeah.
this what we're seeing with these killers and shooters and shit, like all happening to be trans, and we're thinking that it's like it's the leftists and shit. Like it's really just the fact that we're doing this to people.
Yeah.
And it's wrong. It's not even their fault. They're victims in this situation to an extent. I mean, they've been programmed to believe into a cult, and
Yeah.
then that cult used them as some useful idiot to then do something, Yeah, that's
They've
what I
been
think. That's how I
groomed
view.
for a role and they don't even know.
Mhm. And that's kinda how I view it. It's like, everybody's getting fucked in this, you know what I mean? We
Mm-hmm.
gotta get the people that are messing with their minds, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, examples of this would be like the Minneapolis shooter, of course. And I don't know if you saw the movie Weapons. Do you see that? Everybody's talking about the trans shooter and the weapons shit.
I haven't seen the movie Weapons because it looked like I would not like it. But
It's not awesome, but the symbology is there.
yeah.
Like the trans shooter did it on a Wednesday. It was done on a Wednesday in the school. What happened is the plot is that like 17 students disappeared out of the classroom. Well, that's how many people were injured. that day. And then also 2:17 a.m. is the time of night that these kids just disappeared from their house, like they took off.
What the fuck?
And if you read the article for the Catholic school shooting, it says 2 dead, 17 injured, so 217. And so you also had an AR above the house when in the scene in the movie
Mhm.
where this cop goes, like, outside the house, and he's gonna go inside the house where all these kids are in the basement, and they're, like, in a trance or whatever, because there's, like, this witch in the movie that, like, is doing blood magic, and it's all about, like, a parasite in the mind that gets you to do shit, which
Yeah.
is kinda what we're talking about here. That's why I'm bringing it up. It even had a scene in the movie where it brought up this, the zombie ant parasite that goes in the ant and, like, makes it do shit.
What
Have
the
you ever heard of that?
fuck?
You never
Nah.
heard of a fungus? There's a fungus that goes inside of an ant, and it makes it, like, kill itself and then, like, go make it do something so that fungus can procreate. And so it's this kinda concept of a mental parasite, but what I'm getting at is outside of the house, there was a AR with 217 on it, dude, and it was just kind of odd that, that all matched up with that trans shooting. So, it's very weird. I think, the mental programming's there. The movie came out right before the shooting. Wednesday, if you don't know from not watching, if you're new to the show, Odin's Day. That's a, Nordic god, Odin,
Bro,
and that's the day of Wednesday.
that zombie ant shit's the shit that it's in the Last of Us games.
Yeah, exactly. It's the
Yeah,
same
yeah.
same one that's in The Last of Us. So there's a lot of shows and movies about this
Opium
idea of a
corpse.
mental parasite that possesses you.
Yeah.
And that's what happened, dude. They all got possessed by this lady who was like a and by the way, the lady had like the same kinda hairstyle, red hairstyle, where it's like it's fuzzy, it was like flat up top, but then fuzzy down here.
Mhm.
That's kinda how the trans shooter had her hair, dude. Like, there's too many things that are just kind of on point, man.
That
It's
is
very,
kinda
very
weird.
weird. Very weird.
It's so weird how like it's so specific, but each event's specifics align within one another in one way or another.
Yeah, like, even when you're looking at Snake
Like,
Eyes, it's like, how do you get all those coincidences with Snake Eyes, you know?
yeah. There's
It's the
like a
same concept.
fucking there's like a fucking 47 over here, and it was like, "Oh, there was like 47 missing people or some shit." It's like, dude, there's always random
Yeah,
connections, but you
there
can't
is.
help but make those connections.
Yeah, it's hard, especially whenever it's, a lot of times so on point.
Yeah.
Um, and, all this so keep all this in mind, right, with the idea of, the voice of God technology that we've talked about in other episodes. If you're not familiar, new to the show or haven't heard of it, microwave auditory effects targeting sound to somebody's brain, pinpointed right to their brain. They've proven that that is technology being used today.
Mm.
There's many articles about it now, but this goes back to like the 60s, 50s, even 40s. This is not new. I think it was first patented in the 50s where they could implant sounds or memories into somebody by speaking. Very crazy hypnotherapy kind of shit. These subjects become ideal candidates for suggestion based action, so they often don't even remember the trigger moments, which is classic maturing template behavior. So these trans hormonal blockers could be adding to this idea of MK Ultra without being to a doctor. Well, I shouldn't say that because they get the medication from a doctor, but without being hypnotized in a psychotherapist room, you're going through MK Ultra.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I'm telling you, man, like, dude, that trans shooter from, Minneapolis, man, she took a picture in the mirror and there was, like, a demon behind her. She, made one behind her or some shit,
Yeah.
and she said she felt brainwashed. So, I don't know.
All this shit's so fucking weird.
Very. Whenever you think about the guy that stabbed that chick on the train allegedly
That shit that
and
he
he
was
and
saying the what it's the whatever they put in my body.
the
Some shit.
material.
Yeah, the
It's
material.
material. He called it material.
Yeah.
That freaked me out, dude. Whenever he called it material,
He's
I was
like
like,
that
"Dude,
material
you
they
may have
put in
actually
my
had a
body.
you may have actually had that happen to him."
They put like a fucking patch of leather in him, dude.
There's material in me. That's such a broad word. Yeah, do you mean the schizophrenia medication they gave you?
Yes, dude.
So, the official line is that MK Ultra ended in the 1970s after the Church Committee, but if you know anything about the Church Committee, it was a cover up by the Rockefeller Foundation.
Mm.
And all evidence suggests it's simply fragmented into special access programs, SAPs, inside of the DoD, CIA, and DARPA. And private contractors for 20 plus years refined the pharmacological shortcuts like SSRIs, hormone blockers, and antipsychotics to be able to do these things. And they also did frequency signal entrainment like ELFs, elf waves that we know about, which again, talking about another shooter, there's a dude who wrote on his gun, "This is my dark elf," before he shot people at a
Yeah.
amusement park or something. So again, with the elf, right? And the elf waves, microwave transmissions, and behavioral conditioning. So you got video games, meme cultures, and online rituals. Now these things could be accessing their minds in a subconscious way that it doesn't access in me and you, right?
Right.
Because we don't take the SSRIs or hormone blockers, and we haven't been hypnotized by a MK Ultra doctor, right?
Fuck no, we clean.
For now, right? But eventually they may, through our food, our diet, and just without us knowing, be able to get enough of whatever it is. Maybe they find other things to get in us that can do the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Or it's just all about building this next generation of mostly autistic people, which is worrisome. Because think about it, one more generation and we're fucked, dude. Next
Dude,
generation ain't go ahead.
no, like I was gonna say, like they're the food. They're definitely doing something to the food, dude. I was
That's
at
a fact,
Wendy's
dude.
the other day. Got a little biggie bag on lunch. That
Biggie
burger just
bag.
didn't taste right, dude. I was like, bro, this is some fucking tism shit.
Bro, my dude got the Tism Biggie. You got the Tism Biggie bag. And
Dude,
then the
the
thing is,
tism.
bro, bro, that's crazy, bro. They got you with the Tism Biggie bag.
They
And then
got
what's
me.
crazy, bro, we gotta put that on a t-shirt. Bro, the Tism Biggie bag.
The
Dude,
tism
and then
biggie
what's
bag.
yes, bro. And then what the fuck? Anyway,
Go
bro,
down the
so what's
street.
crazy? And then on top of that, bro, they're feeding you people's feet inside of McDonald's burgers. It's
I'm
like, come
not
on,
about
bro.
it.
Come
I'm
on,
not about
bro.
it. Yeah, I've had to
Everybody
stop with
knows there's
that shit.
human in everybody knows there's human in McDonald's. Come on.
Yeah. Every
I mean,
time
at
you
least
eat a chicken nugget, you're eating a fucking finger.
the chicken nuggets, yeah, dude, I've seen some shit that, like, it really does match, like, caulk, like, for your house.
Yeah.
Like, for your
Yeah,
house.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like, that's it's the same it's like fried caulk. Like, dude, what the
Dude,
fuck,
hell
bro?
yeah, I love eating caulk.
It's like a McDonald's it's like or not McDonald's, it's like that,
Pause.
yeah, it's like that, SpongeBob episode where they made all the patties out of, like, squirting that shit out.
Oh, out of like the poop puree.
Yeah, it was like that, but they covered it up, made it not look white on the inside like it was, but then
Yeah,
when
yeah.
people looked at it, when they took a bite and looked at it, they were like, "Oh, no," like, because
Yeah,
they
they were
realized
like
it
eating
wasn't.
sludge.
Yeah, exactly, and that's
Yeah.
what's going on at McDonald's, dude.
Yeah, it's fucking nasty.
That's happening. So instead of needing a black site, the control vectors are now integrated into medicine, technology, and culture by those things, the pharmaceutical shortcuts, with the hormone blockers, things like that, microwave transmissions, and that Wi-Fi,
Mhm.
and then also the meme cultures, online rituals. So all that together, who knows, dude? That's a cocktail for MK Ultra and somebody right in their own home.
Yeah.
So the voice of God technology, as we talked about, there's patents that existed with the microwave auditory effects that go back to the 50s. And they pair that with disassociated subjects that you don't even fully need to hypnotize, just the right trigger phrase. And then there's also a hypnotherapy overlap where disassociation rather lowers critical thinking. And then that causes a hormonally destabilized identity fractured person. And they become highly suggestible. Even light trance states can lead to deep compliance. And that's what we see all the time. Like since COVID, I feel like we've been looking at people that are fucking just deep trance,
Yeah.
fucking, they're just not there, bro. They're not
Yes,
thinking, they're not
dude.
critically thinking.
Because it'll be kind of calm or whatever, like amongst the internet, and then something will happen, and then people seem like they're just activated,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
they're
Well,
just
they get
super
the trigger
loud.
words. Yeah, they get the keywords, the trigger words, and a lot of those are like some kind of culture word, right? Like something, some kind of
Yeah.
virtue signal, whatever. We see it every day in our everyday life, and we don't even recognize it for what it
All
is.
the
It's people that are
time.
they're getting MK Ultra right in front of you, and
Yeah.
they don't. And you know how hard it is to deprogram somebody when they're entranced. Teaching myself to critically think took years.
And then they're like, let's see how many fucking people we got. And then
Yeah.
people go protest and they get all face scanned and they're like, all right, let's add them to the list. That's
Yep.
who we got.
Yep. It's great. Yeah, exactly. So let's move on because I do want to get to the what was the I do want to get to that book, which by the way, I'll tell you guys the book, Tavistock Institute by Daniel Estulin. You guys can look it up for reference if you want. I'll be bringing that up and we'll share the screen whenever we get there. So children's telepathy tapes. Let's get to a little bit of that. There are accounts from MK Ultra era learning tapes for children that were audio programs. And what they had were binaural beats to entrain brain waves. That's why I don't trust binaural beats at all, because I think that that's another thing that's out there to fuck with your head. I do. I think it's there to get you into a trance, again, that trance-like state.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's one thing about meditating, that's one thing, but you could do that with some like Native American flutes. You don't need binaural beats. You know what I mean? And then there's subliminal affirmations like hidden beneath nursery rhyme rhythms, and also hypnotic language loops. The goal, whenever they were doing this was like the initial MK Ultra kind of teaching children
Whoa.
restructuring cognition. What?
If you look up binaural beats, it brings you up links to YouTube videos. Deep sleep instantly. In quote or in parentheses, quiet your mind.
Yeah. If you remember our first episode, we talked about how Stephen Greer wants you to go do the contact in the desert, and he has an app where it's supposed to make you easier to meditate and contact them if you listen to these binaural beats. Again, dude, I don't trust this shit at all.
Weird.
Yeah, and so there was a little bit of MK Ultra era experimenting with learning tapes for children, but what we're talking about now is a little bit different. The explosion of autism in the 80s onward, children immersed in the tapes, screens, and frequencies, experiments could become more sensitive to sensory input, less socially grounded, and more pattern fixated, like TVs and shit like that in front of us all the time. That's what's doing it to them. It really is. And these traits look like autism spectrum. Again, let's go over that. Children immersed in screens, let's just say screens, not tapes, in screens and frequency experiments became more sensitive to sensory input, less socially grounded, and more pattern fixated. And so instead of admitting that this may have been engineered, the system reframes it as this neurodivergence is a superpower that we're emerging as like a new, better race for it. And the autistic children are closer to telepaths or empaths, and they're almost like a savant, like we talked about earlier, right? And so this flips potential evidence of neuroengineering and cognitive damage into a celebrated identity. And dude, that's what we're seeing today is
Ah,
they're
man.
going to be celebrating autism very soon. Watch.
Yeah, like 10 years ago, we were like, oh, he's got autism. Oh, poor guy.
Right.
Ten years from now, we're going to be like, he's got autism. Fuck yeah. I'm pissed I
Dude,
don't.
you don't have autism, you're a dumbass. Like that's what it's gonna become. Is like
Yeah.
if you don't have autism, take them to a camp. They don't know what to do. They can't vote anymore. Like you're not even gonna be a human compared to them. Because also those are the people that are gonna accept the neural implants and shit too. By the way,
Mm,
so that's the big problem where it's like it will quickly become that.
we will be less than.
Yeah, and so let's get into the superpower psyop. By marketing autism as a gift or higher state, parents and children are disarmed from questioning the causes like vaccines, EMF radiation, things like that. It's very similar to me to the idea of let's blame aliens or some other thing on all this technology that we're flying around.
Yeah.
So that way they don't blame us for spending all this money on this black ops budget shit that we've been building, right? It's the same kind of thing. It's like we don't want people to like realize that this is a thing. So like let's just say it's a normal evolution of our path,
Yeah.
whatever. And so the telepathy tape angle gets laundered into this psychic kids, indigo children, or star seed kind of phenomenon, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's shit that we hear all the time in the new age movement where it's like you're a star seed. I come from Pleiades, and we're looking at like straight up fucking these programmed ass people, bro, that are slightly
A
autistic. That's what
star
we're looking at.
seed.
We're looking at the tism, bro, and we're looking at new age tism, dude. So the new age tism is even worse than the tism biggie bag that you got because people think that they come from like another place, you know?
Dude, if someone told me that they were a star seed, I would suddenly have to fight the urge to slap him.
Well, dude, this new age movement is very big in this idea of we come from the cosmos and they remember their past incarnations and all this fucking weird shit.
Got app.
Yeah. These kids are symbols of evolution, when in reality, they may be test subjects of a long running control program. That is the fucking point of this episode right here. That sentence. The New Age movement adopts these kids as the symbols of evolution, when in reality, they probably are test subjects of a long running control program.
R.I.P.
So, what's the link to the tech integration that we've been talking about? So, if you convince a generation that their differences are latent superpowers, and they'll be more willing to train their telepathy through apps like neural headsets and brain computer, apps, and then they'll see compliance with technocratic tools as empowerment, not control, because those tools will be integrated into these apps. And then the
Mm,
actual rewiring, the pharmacological, digital, and psychological gets hidden behind the superpower narrative, and boom, Bob's your uncle. You got some motherfucking transhumanists right there. That's what you got.
yeah, that's crazy, dude.
So the core psyop here is that in reality, engineered disassociation, sensory overload, and fragmented psychology is easier to manipulate and easier to mesh with machine. And the narrative here is that these are psychic gifts, telepathy, and higher consciousness, and proof of humanity evolving. Whenever in the outcome is really a primed embrace to integration with technocratic systems, believing that this new world is their destiny and this new utopia that they're sold is really going to be their enslavement.
Mm.
So, what we're getting at here is pretty crazy. So, MK Ultra is a little bit. I'm just going to make sure I didn't miss any notes here that we got. All right, cool. Let's get to the motherfucking book, because this has some receipts and I want to show y'all how crazy it really gets.
Let's see it.
All right, so we're gonna remember this. Page 104 is where that is. Okay, we're
All
gonna
right.
go up here a little bit.
Mute
We're
the
gonna go up
audio
here a
when
little.
you share your screen.
What?
Mute the audio when you share your screen.
All right, I'll stop sharing and we'll do it again. Boom. No audio. Better.
Good shit.
All right, cool. Yeah, we'll get to this book here, Tavistock. So this mass psychology model is nothing new. So this goes all the way back, like I mentioned before, to like the days of Babylon, right?
Yeah.
And and so this is like I'm gonna try to back it up to a good spot, but I want to get the full context here. So MK Ultra subprojects, many of them involved with research into behavior modification, hypnosis, and drug effects, psychotherapy, truth serums, and pathogens and toxins in human tissues. So these were for intelligence purposes. But what was required of MK Ultra was the ability to manipulate memory. And that's kind of what I'm talking about. The memory part, like if you don't have your memory, a lot of philosophers have been big on this. Like without a memory, you don't even know who you are, Like
Yeah.
how do you have a reference point for experiences and stuff? And so thus what the Freudians call the super ego, Peter Levenda explains in Sinister Forces, had to be bypassed, allowing the controller direct access to the contents of an enemy's agent's mind. That was one step. Step one. Step two would involve erasing specific pieces of information from the subject's memory and replacing those pieces with new bits of memory, thus permitting the agency to set out that agent back into the field without any knowledge that he had been interrogated and had been given up sensitive information. You could do this with a alien abduction and implant all this into their mind,
Yeah.
So step three was a potential bonus. Could that enemy agent then be programmed to commit acts on behalf of the agency that programmed him without knowing who gave the command or why? This was the essence of the Manchurian Candidate, which all goes into the birth of MK Ultra.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the essence of what we know today as hypnotherapy, and the depth of psychoanalysis for the psychiatrist is looking for access to the patient's unconscious layers. And they want to extract important information such as childhood trauma and to neutralize the effects of that trauma, in some cases replacing certain behavior patterns with new approved patterns. So that's just kind of the basis of what MK Ultra was. But the thing is, there was a lot of occult mixture with the Nazis started doing this MK Ultra stuff, and then there was a lot of occultism with them. That's why it kind of gets into the satanic quality of the work Aldous Huxley had in the preparations of what emerged as the rock, drug, sex culture in the 60s. So this guy argues that Aldous Huxley and the promotion of what were known as pretty much psychodrugs or psychedelics, is kind of what led to the rock, drug, and sex counterculture in the 60s.
Mm.
And Crowley, which we talk a lot about, of the satanic antichrist cult of theosophy, the publication of the pro-satanic periodical Lucifer in Vienna, with participation of Crowley, is exemplary. The role of Maxim Gorky, we're going to skip past this. It pretty much just talks about Crowley being a part of these key figures as this antichrist movement,
Yeah.
which is great. Who doesn't want to be a part of that?
Hmm.
You know? So, mass psychology model. The counterculture model that the British had imposed on the United States was based on the pagan ceremonies of the ancient Egyptian and Roman empires. This is all going to be very important that we're about to read here.
Okay.
These had a history of their own. The continuity of the cult of Apollo is important to this point. The cult of Apollo is the same cult that CERN is based off of and does rites and rituals around. So, for those that don't know, the listeners, we have a deep dive for CERN and the whistleblower of CERN on our Patreon, and we talk about the cult of Apollo with that and how it connects. There are black nobility families of Rome, which is very important because the black nobility families kind of rule a lot of shit now, whose families and family political traditions trace back to the Roman Republic. The republic and the empire under which their ancestors lived was in control by Rome branch of the cult of Apollo. So, from the death of Alexander the Great until the cult of Apollo dissolved itself into the cult of Stoicism it had created during the 2nd century. A lot of people don't know that that's how this kind of evolved.
Yeah.
The base of the cult was the Ptolemaic Egypt, from which the cult controlled Rome. In Egypt, the cult of Apollo synchronized the cult of Isis, Osiris. And that's why that's important, because the cult of Isis is kind of coming back again today for
Yeah.
sure. So the tradition persisted under various institutional covers, always preserving the essential world outlook and doctrine intact. The British monarchy, the parasitic aristocratic landlord class of Britain, and the British dominated feudalist factions are modern concentrated expressions of the unbroken tradition, which is very true.
Mm.
So here, I'll skip a little bit past this. So they have restored the same methods used by the ancient priests of Apollo, the promotion of Dionysian cults of drug cultures, orgiastic erotic countercultures, and deranged mobs of machine breakers and terrorist maniacs. That's what we see today in droves. That's our fucking world now.
Yeah.
And to turn such a combined force of demented rabble against those forces of society that are dedicated to the scientific technological progress. So the following description of cult ceremonies. Okay, this is just about a ISIS ceremony, which is very much like the hippie kind of shit that we see today. So they're
Yeah.
just trying to show how it's very similar. But ISIS ultimately is a drug cult. It is a cult of high priests and secret rituals. These secret rituals have been kept inside the British royal family and their ruling class friends for centuries. The cult was practiced in Egypt during the 3rd dynasty of the Old Kingdom, and ISIS worship is essentially pagan, primitive mother worship.
Mm.
So that's kind of what we're looking at here. That's where it was born, and now we're looking at it today, and how Aldous Huxley, the guy who kind of obviously is into this ISIS Dionysian cult thinking, he helped give way to the rock and roll 60s. He also had a lot to say about how the world will look when we create this one world government.
Yeah.
His brother was a eugenicist. For those who don't know, we've done an episode on Huxley as well. Huxley was a grandson of a famous biologist as well, Thomas Huxley, whose outspoken support of Charles Darwin's theory of evolution earned him the nickname Darwin's Bulldog. It was Thomas Huxley, a leading member of the Metaphysical Society, which founded in 1869 in the attempt to forge a more effective intellectual elite out of the membership of Oxford. But anyway, they coined the term agnosticism. And Huxley and his leading circles denied the ability of a man to actually know anything, the so called no soul doctrine that was at the heart of the Wells book, Open Conspiracy. Whatever the fuck that means. I kind of lost. I don't get what that means. So, unlike his grandfather, Aldous Huxley was a novelist who liked to experiment with drugs to discover his inner creativity and spiritual connection. So, Thomas Huxley's basic teachings, the unifying theme was the denial of the nobility of man as expressed in the provable power of the human mind to create and discover new ideas. Aldous Huxley had collaborators they worked with, yada yada. I really just want to get down to where he kind of talked about in Brave New World what we're talking about here. So I don't want to read all this to you guys. So, from his experience as one of the initiates in the Children of the Sun, a Dionysian cult comprised of the children of Britain's Round Table elite, Aldous Huxley gained material to create his famous novel, Brave New World. So, for those who don't know, from his experience as one of the initiates in the Children of the Sun, which is a Dionysian cult, which has a bunch of Britain elites in it, Aldous Huxley gained material to create his famous novel, Brave New World. And it's a blueprint of a true life future, one world socialist government. A Fabian mentor, H.G. Wells, paraphrased the title of one of his popular novels, The New World Order. The Open Conspiracy, Blueprints for a World Revolution. And remember
Damn.
the goals of, yeah, dude, because it is an open conspiracy. What makes it an open conspiracy is they're in plain sight for everyone to see. What makes the open conspiracy open is not the laying out of some secret master plan, not the revealing of the membership roster or the inner sanctum of the rich and powerful, which the typical deluded populace supposes to be the secret of the power of the world. It is rather the understanding that ideas, philosophy, and culture control history.
Mm.
So, what constitutes a conspiracy for good or evil is a set of ideas which embody a concept of what it is to be human and a concept of men's role in the universal history. These guys just really, he's really just stroking his dick there, dude. He's like, we just fucking, we run shit. I mean, it is really it.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of connection with Blavatsky, the Golden Dawn, ISIS cult. They kind of, they're all part of this Children of the Sun. Huxley's a part of it. He's got a homosexual lover. And it was Huxley's furthermore who launched the legal battle in the 50s to have Lawrence's pornographic novel allowed in the United States.
Of course he was gay.
And he likes porn. So, in the Brave New World, Huxley centers on the scientific methodology for keeping all populations outside the elite minority in a permanently autistic like condition. This is what I've been trying to get to, but I think we laid out good context before we got here.
Yeah.
In the Brave New World, Aldous Huxley centers on the scientific methodology for keeping all populations outside of the elite minority in a permanently autistic like condition, in love with their servitude. He was speaking at the California Medical School in San Francisco when he announced there will be in their next generation a pharmacological method of making people love their servitude and producing dictatorships without tears, so to speak, producing a kind of painless concentration camp for entire societies so that people will, in fact, have their liberties taken away, but will rather enjoy it because they will be distracted from any desire to rebel by propaganda or brainwashing. Brainwashing enhanced by pharmacological methods. And this seems to be the final revolution.
Yeah. That's pretty fucking deep, dude.
That's what we're getting at, dude. That is all we're getting at right there, dude. Now, I'm sure you guys, maybe if you're watching this show, I'm sure you guys have probably seen or heard Aldous Huxley say that. I don't know if you knew the context behind it, the fact that he was in the cult of the Children of the Sun. I don't know if you know that he rubbed shoulders with Aleister Crowley and that his family was eugenicists, and the fact that he was not saying it was not a warning that he was telling us that. It was actually him saying, this is just what's going to happen. It
Yeah.
will be the final revolution, and we will be the winners.
Yeah. Yeah. Like you said, not necessarily a warning, just laying out.
The blueprint.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, when you hear him say it, you take it as a warning because you assume the humanity in him, like, "Oh, come on, he's just trying to tell us about it," you know? No,
Yeah.
I mean, that's how it's not what it is. He's letting you know this is just what's gonna
Mm.
happen.
Yeah.
And so, autistic-like people who love their servitude because they're distracted by the propaganda and the brainwashing and the pharmacological brainwashing, that is exactly what we're talking about here. And unfortunately, I think that our hunch was true. I think in the beginning we posed a question and here we are.
Yeah.
Very smart people and very powerful people have said exactly what we're thinking. So it's it's going down, dude.
Yeah. Going
It's
down.
definitely going down. So that
Pretty
was Silent
scary.
Weapons. Yeah, it was. That was Silent Weapons, dude. I hope you guys enjoyed. For our newcomers, definitely go check out the other episodes. We lay out all the MK Ultra. Silent Weapons was an MK Ultra series.
Mm.
So we lay it all out. We get deep, as always. That's what we do here. We go deep.
It is
I
what we
got a little,
do.
I got a little stomper. What you know about them stompers, bro?
Some little steppers, dude.
Little steppers. I got steppers. But yeah, man, it's been a great week. We've been out here. We got some new people on here. We're really excited. We hope you enjoy. Definitely go, like, follow, share. Definitely meant to say that in the beginning too. Go like, follow, share, give us some love. We need some more rates, all that stuff on all the platforms. And yeah, be checking us out. We'll be doing some lives. Live today for the book club. We're gonna be finishing up Behold the Pale Horse. And I just ordered Tragedy and Hope.
Nice.
And we're gonna get into that. It's a 2,000-page book, so we're not gonna read the whole thing.
The
The book club will be 2 years, you know what I
fat
mean?
ass
So
book.
yeah, dude. So we're gonna hit the big spots, you know what I mean? The big parts. We're gonna have fun with it. I can't put my whole life into that one book for now, so it is what it is.
Yeah.
But we'll hack away at it as we go. But yeah, we're real excited to get this going, man. Super excited. We got the website, 6gagenda.com. We're gonna have
Fuck
merch
yeah.
coming up soon. We got the Patreon, we got the Venmo. You go donate if you'd like to, support us in any way you'd like to. If you appreciate the show, even just a simple review or a like would be nice. So yeah, dude, we'll see you all later. We're gonna be having lots of content coming out back to back. So
Hell yeah.
stay tuned and see you later at the Neoverse.